Hi there. Welcome to Chapter 3 of From Idea to Shelf from the CPG Academy. I'm CJ and I'm the founder of CPG Academy. I want to take a pause before we get into the material on this third chapter and just say a big thank you to those of you who have stayed around and watched the first two videos. If I haven't mentioned it before, this is one of the first times I've sat down and tried to take the things I've learned over my career and actually put them into a video format in a curriculum and something that I think might be helpful to other aspiring entrepreneurs. So I appreciate you being along for the ride as I figured out lighting and camera and video editing and things like that. It's a really humbling experience trying to figure this stuff out, and I hope whatever journey you're on in your product, that this has proved valuable in some way and will help you grow your business and create the next great product. As always, please consult the community for any ideas you may have. Feel free to reach out to me, and don't lose momentum when you hit a wall. That's really all launching a product is. If I could summarize this entire series, it's don't stop when you hit a wall. There's going to be multiple throughout iterations of the business, and you can do this. I know it. So let's jump into manufacturing. So far, we've talked about ideas, where they come from, how to set a foundation, questions to have to flesh it out a little more, and trying to address the reality of the gaps you're trying to fill. We've talked about branding, how to make something that's beautiful, that's gonna compel people to purchase your product, that you can bring it to market, how it applies to the different channels, and what goes into establishing a good brand. And now we're gonna get into manufacturing with our next chapter talking about selling. Manufacturing is just one of those words that to me means making your product. If you're starting with a big idea, this is probably one of those obstacles that you've got to figure out how to overcome. Whereas if you're starting with a product, maybe you have a good idea of a good manufacturer. Maybe it's something that you have a relationship with a co-packer, or it's something that you can produce yourself, like a t-shirt, soap, or something like that. But for today, I want to focus on just a few things that really will help you wrap your mind around finding a co-packer, a manufacturer, and people to help bring this to life. First off, let's start with some simple terminology that might be helpful as we get into this, because manufacturing can be its own world. And if anybody that's in the co-packing world is watching this, they're going to pull their hair out because I'm sure I'm going to miss a whole bunch of stuff. But my hope again is to keep it simple so that you as an aspiring entrepreneur can go, okay, I know what I need to figure out and I just need to dig in a little deeper. First and foremost, a co-packer is a business that operates in a facility that is allowed to produce different goods, typically with consumables, but potentially in apparel, battery-powered devices, or other things along those lines. A co-packer can be someone who can do everything all together. A manufacturer could be someone who is sourcing the ingredients, packing them, holding them, and then distributing them for you. Or those four areas could all be different manufacturing partners. Certain businesses like mine, I source my own ingredients from different suppliers. I provide them to the manufacturer. I order the film and print. They run it and hold all of the compliance and certifications that I need to have a consumable for kids. They ship me the product, and then I sell and distribute. There's really no right way to pursue this. Some facilities will do all of that, and you'll pay a premium for it. Sometimes you're like me, and you might want to do each stage yourself just to save a little bit of extra money because you're a high margin, high volume product, and that saving a nickel or a dime could be a difference maker when you're going into a retailer. But what I would encourage you to do is to take a step back, look at your first product that you want to launch, figure out how much of this can you do and how much of it do you need to outsource. And again, start with that first product idea that gets you to market fastest. Now, let's talk about a term that you're going to become all too familiar with in this journey, which is MOQs, minimum order quantity. That means what is the least amount of finished goods that a manufacturer will produce for you and be able to deliver it for you to be able to sell. I mentioned in a previous video, but when we started Critter, we started with cans. These little bitty 8.4 ounce cans, aluminum, flat water with flavoring, and our idea was to become a liquid death for kids kind of business model. However, aluminum is expensive. And you are not just competing with other kids brands, you are competing with anyone who is in an aluminum can. So your MOQs for cans are incredibly high. A pallet can run you from $250,000 as high as you want to go, just for one flavor. So pretty quickly, we pivoted to stick packs. Water-soluble powder that you can pour into a drink, mix up, and enjoy, as opposed to aluminum, which has to be pasteurized, and there's a whole lot of things you have to figure out when it comes to liquid, including the can, the labeling, how you pack it, the case sizes. It's a lot to keep up with. We discovered that a stick pack was way easier because you're really just dealing with the powder, the film for the stick, and the film for the bag. And so for a new business, you just want to get a finished product out as quickly and affordably as you can. We still have aspirations of doing this, but we had to start with this to get there. And so I hope that helps encourage you. Sometimes it's not as easy as having your final product done. More than anything, building a brand and launching a product starts with building an affinity and getting the word out and getting people in your network excited. So while you're looking for a manufacturer, try to find one that has low MOQs that are favorable to you. Try to find someone you can hop on a phone call with and explain your vision. These guys and gals that work in manufacturing see a lot in the industry. They will tell you straight up, more times than not, I've seen this, it doesn't work. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. But what you'll find is a manufacturing partner will be just that. A true partner. They will help you understand what's going on in the industry. They'll explain to you what maybe they've seen in the past that other companies have done that doesn't work. And they can also tell you, yeah, we're seeing a lot of demand in that space. Your product has a lot of opportunity. A good manufacturer doesn't just make your product. It buys into the vision of your business. If you found a manufacturer that meets an acceptable MOQ, here's 5 quick points that's in the curriculum that I just want to be sure to call out, because at the end of the day, it's incredibly important to know. 1, no amount of good branding will ever make up for a shit product. Do not launch something that you have not tasted and has gotten you excited. You can always change a label, you can change a format, you can even change a brand name. But if the product that goes into it, the shirt that someone wears, the snack that someone eats, the makeup that someone's putting on, if it's not exceptional, you will fail. So more than anything else, make sure the final product is excellent. Number 2, it's never perfect the first time. Don't expect it to be. By this, I mean, you could run through 100 iterations of a flavor, and then it just turns out that maybe someone doesn't like that flavor. Or you could create a skincare line, and the lipstick size just isn't something that works. Don't let yourself get bogged down in creating the perfect product from the start. Try to find that sweet spot of low MOQ, fantastic product, and something that you can iterate on, and use that as your guiding light. Every product I've worked with over my career has had to update labels, change formulations, change sources. It just happens, which is why I encourage you to start with a low MOQ, because at the very worst, you can sell out through a low run and iterate. But if you order a lot of one product, it's really hard to come back from. Number 3, your friends and family are your first testers. Wear them out. Make them give you honest feedback. Remember when we talked about identifying your target demographic? Find people in your life who fit that and make them give you honest feedback. Understand there's a balance. They're not the ones starting the business. And so if it's something intangible, like maybe I don't get the brand direction, maybe I don't see how I could use this every day, maybe I don't like this flavor. Those are feedback points that maybe you can just pass on because you feel so strongly about where to bring your product. Or if it's something where 10 of your 10 friends are telling you this doesn't taste good, I would never use this, use your best judgment. Sometimes one feedback point is just an anomaly, but look for trends on what people are telling you. Focus on making something useful and get your friends and family to be your first advocates. Number 4, be patient and relentless in making the product as great as you can. It will never be perfect, as we discussed in point number 2. But on the flip side, if you're having doubt on a flavor, size, print, design, you have to trust your internal gut on this because you're the one bringing this vision forward. And so if it's something that gets you excited, then it will get everybody else excited. And you can overcome a lot with momentum. But if it's something that you feel like it's just not quite there, be willing to swallow for another round of revisions. And just trust you're going to get it where it needs to go. And lastly, number 5, simple is always, always better. Don't try to over-engineer things too much, too fast. I would highly encourage you not to launch 5 or 6 iterations of a product at once. That's really difficult to overcome if you have a mistake or something that you need to iterate on. Get it to the point of simplicity where you can send a link to someone and they can purchase your product. That easy. There's so many variables you have to figure out between here and there and what goes into actually getting a product from shelf to someone's doorstep or grocery store or other sales channel. Try to make it as easy on yourself as possible. And a bonus point that I would give that's not in here is find the people who come back to you and tell you, yes, this is something I want and love, and find more of that person. Meaning, for us, we know moms love Critter because it makes their life easier because they get their kids their vitamins and they don't have to worry about putting bad stuff into their kids from Gatorade or other sugar-filled drinks. So we double down on that customer segment. The people who come to us and tell us how much they love the product, I want more of those people. So be looking for those trends, both as archetypes, as a demographic, and as your target customer. I've included a list of materials in this chapter to hopefully help you have a starting point on where you need to go with finding a right manufacturer. I would highly encourage you to reach out to people in the industry and ask them for connections. Use Google and ChatGPT for sure. But if there's one thing that I've learned from being in this space for over a decade, it's that the best manufacturers typically don't have the best web presence because they're focused on making product. It's a very relational driven space when it comes to manufacturing. And so having friends in the industry, using this community as connections, contacting me, those are the kind of things you want for warm intros to manufacturers. If you're seeing ads on a Google, likelihood is it's a very big company with high MOQs, which may fit for your business. But if you're trying to start small and just get a proof of concept, you're gonna wanna do the extra legwork and try to find someone who will work with you to help grow your brand. I hope this chapter is helpful. We could go through certifications, compliance, and everything else. I would encourage you to do the necessary research through chat or whatever your LLM of choice is. Find out what regulations may exist out there. See how much of that a manufacturer can take off your plate, and just do the extra homework to make sure that whatever it is you're putting on a shelf, whether it's a consumable, a wearable, makeup, etc., it fits within the regulatory standards from whatever the ruling body is in your country. There's a simple checklist in this chapter that will hopefully help you with that. But more than anything, I would encourage you, take the time with this chapter. Get samples. Try to get trial runs. Find someone who will work with you. And sell them a vision that is keeping you up at night, that gets you excited. Manufacturers love to see founders with passion. So give them something to get fired up about. Good luck with sourcing, and looking forward to talking to you in the sales chapter.